You ever hit that point where you're so tired that you can't lie to yourself anymore? Where all the mental gymnastics you usually do just stop? The excuses don't work. The rationalizations fall flat. The carefully constructed story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're doing, it all crumbles. And in that moment, when you're too exhausted to maintain the facade, something weird happens. You see clearly. For the first time in a long time, you actually see. Why does it take breaking down to break through? Why does exhaustion reveal what clarity couldn't? Most people avoid this moment. They rest before they reach it. They distract before it hits. But I think this moment is where everything important happens. There's this guy, works a corporate job he hates, tells himself he's staying for the benefits, for the stability, for rational adult reasons. He's got a whole speech prepared about why this makes sense, why he's being smart, responsible, practical, and he believes it. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, he believes every word of it. Then comes month 6 of mandatory overtime, 14-hour days, weekend calls, sleep deprivation that turns his brain into static. And one night, sitting in his car in the parking garage at 11 p.m., too tired to even turn the key in the ignition, the truth just lands. He doesn't stay for the benefits. He stays because he's terrified of the alternative, terrified of proving he's not as talented as he thinks, terrified of disappointing people, terrified of being free. The exhaustion didn't create that truth. It just dissolved the energy he was using to hide from it. We spend so much energy maintaining our illusions about our relationships, our careers, our habits, our identities. We're constantly performing, even for ourselves, especially for ourselves. And that performance takes work, mental energy, emotional bandwidth. The second we run out of that energy, the performance stops. And what's left is just what is. Athletes know this. There's a point in every grueling workout, every impossible run, every session that pushes past your limit, where your mind goes quiet. Not peaceful quiet, empty quiet. You're too tired to think about form or pace or how much further you have to go. You just move. And in that mindless movement, you find out who you actually are. Not who you want to be, not who you're trying to become. Who you are right now when all the bullshit is burned away. The Japanese have this concept, karoshi, death by overwork. It's dark, yeah, but stay with me. They also have ikigai, your reason for being. And here's what's interesting. Sometimes you only discover your ikigai by getting close to karoshi, by pushing so hard in the wrong direction that your body physically rejects it, by getting so exhausted by what doesn't matter that you're forced to confront what does. I'm not romanticizing burnout here. Let's be clear, chronic exhaustion will destroy you. It'll wreck your health, your relationships, your mind, but there's a difference between chronic exhaustion and that acute moment of collapse. That moment when you've given everything and have nothing left to give. And in that emptiness, truth rushes in. There's this writer, spends years crafting the perfect novel, obsessing over every sentence, every word choice, every character arc. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be important. It's going to prove she's not wasting her life. She works on it every day for 3 years. And then one night, after another 12-hour editing session, completely drained, she realizes something. She hates this book. She's been writing it for the wrong reasons, for validation, for approval, for some imaginary version of herself that doesn't even exist. And in that moment of exhausted clarity, she deletes the whole thing, 300,000 words. 3 years of work. Gone. Her friends think she's lost it. You were almost done. But she knows. In her bones she knows. That book was a monument to her insecurity, not her art. And she was only able to see that when she was too tired to defend it. Here's what nobody tells you about exhaustion. It's a filter. It filters out everything that isn't essential. When you have energy, you can convince yourself of anything. You can rationalize staying in the wrong city, the wrong relationship, the wrong life. You can tell yourself you'll figure it out later, it's fine for now, you're being strategic. But when you're running on empty, those lies don't stick anymore. You don't have the energy to believe them. I spent years thinking I needed more discipline, more motivation, more systems and routines and productivity hacks. And then I burned out. Completely. Couldn't get out of bed some days. Couldn't make myself care about anything. And in that low point I realized something. I didn't need more discipline. I needed to stop doing things that required so much discipline to sustain. I needed to stop fighting against my own nature. The exhaustion wasn't the problem. It was the signal. But here's the trap. Society sees exhaustion as failure, as weakness, as something to push through or medicate or ignore. Hustle harder. Sleep when you're dead. No pain, no gain. We're taught to override our exhaustion, to see it as an obstacle between us and success. But what if it's the opposite? What if exhaustion is your body's way of saying, stop, look around. This isn't it. There's this moment that happens when you've been awake for too long, like 30+ hours. Your thoughts get strange, non-linear. You start seeing connections you wouldn't normally see. Ideas that seemed crazy suddenly make sense. And researchers have actually studied this. Sleep deprivation temporarily disrupts the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that maintains your sense of self and social conditioning. Your filter weakens. Your authentic thoughts break through. I'm not saying don't sleep. Please sleep. But I am saying that sometimes the thoughts that emerge when we're too tired to police ourselves, those are the ones we need to listen to. Those 2 a.m. realizations. Those shower thoughts after an exhausting day. Those moments where you're too drained to lie and you just blurt out how you really feel. Pay attention to those. The corporate guy? He quit 3 months later. Not impulsively. He had a plan. But that moment of exhausted truth in the parking garage was the beginning. He stopped pretending he was happy, stopped performing stability. And once he stopped using energy to maintain the illusion, he had energy to build something real. The writer, she started a new project. Something smaller, weirder, more honest. Something she was actually excited about. Not something she thought would impress people. It's not published yet. Maybe it never will be. But she's not exhausted anymore. She's engaged, and there's a huge difference. Here's what I'm trying to say. You don't need to burn yourself out to find clarity. But if you're already exhausted, if you're already running on fumes, if you're already at that point where you can barely function, don't waste it. Don't just push through and go back to normal. Stop. Look around. Ask yourself what truth is trying to emerge. Because this moment, as painful as it is also a gift. You're too tired to lie. Use that. What would you do if you had energy? Not what you should do. Not what's responsible or practical or expected. What would you actually do? And if the answer is different from what you're doing now, that's your answer. That's the clarity speaking. The exhaustion isn't the enemy. The life that exhausts you is. And I know what you're thinking. But I have responsibilities, bills, people depending on me. I can't just quit or change or blow up my life. You're right. You probably can't do it all at once, but you can stop lying about why you're staying. You can stop pretending you're happy when you're not. You can start planning. You can start taking small steps. You can stop using your energy to maintain a life that's draining you and start using it to build a life that fuels you. The clarity found in exhaustion isn't comfortable. It's not inspiring. It doesn't come with a motivational soundtrack or a montage of you running upstairs. It comes quietly in parking garages and dark apartments and long commutes home. It comes when you're too tired to fight it anymore. And when it comes, you have a choice. You can ignore it, rest up and go back to performing. Or you can listen, really listen, because exhaustion will always tell you the truth. It'll show you what's sustainable and what's not, what's authentic and what's performance, what matters and what's just noise. You just have to be willing to hear it, to sit with it, to let it reveal what you've been too busy to see. And that is truly beautiful. So if you're exhausted right now, I'm not going to tell you to push harder. I'm going to tell you to pay attention. Your body is trying to tell you something. Listen to it. Until next time, stay honest.